So now we're ready to thread our machine, and I'll bring the thread up through one of the holes on the thread stand, across then to this metal post on this side of the machine near the light, and I'm bringing the thread in from the back towards the front in that top hole, and then around into the next hole underneath from the back to the front, and then across to these tension discs here. So in through that hole, the top hole, and then bringing the thread in between the two discs or plates. So what this does is it controls the amount of thread that is left in the needle after you cut off the threads. So if that's wound in too tight, if that knob's wound in too tight, the spring holds the thread too tight, and then the needle will come unthreaded every time you do a thread cut off. So it's important not to play around with that. It should be fairly loose. It's just holding the thread a little bit. And then after it's in the disc, you come down to the hole then in the bottom of that plate and thread through there. And then we're coming straight down then to the needle tension disc, and the thread should pass in between those two metal plates, and really make sure you get the thread in there. It's very important to have correct sewing tension, that it's held in those plates firmly. And then we're going to come over the top of that fine metal spring and straight down. After you come over the top of that spring, you come down and underneath this big hook at the bottom, and then we're going to go up to the take-up lever. Now the take-up lever needs to be at the top when you're threading the machine, so if you need to, turn the hand wheel to get that take-up lever at the top. And then we go into this little thread guide here on our way up to the take-up lever, and then in through the hole on the take-up lever, down into the thread guide on the left-hand side, and then down into this thread guide at the bottom here. I'm just going to turn my light on so that you can see this a bit more clearly. Normally I'd have the power off while I'm threading the machine, but I've made sure that my feet are right away from the pedal, so there's no danger of bumping that power pedal while I'm doing this. So in through there, then the last place is in through this hole on the needle clamp. So that's the clamp that holds the needle in place. So if you put it through that hole, it just lines the thread up nicely onto the needle. And then I just need to thread my needle. Now we know that the cutout groove is facing in here, so the needle needs to be threaded from the other side, or from the outside to the inside like that. And that's our machine threaded. The last thing we need to do, I'm going to turn off the power now. The last thing we need to do is bring the bobbin thread up, and we do that, I might turn that back on, it's quite dark without it. We do that by holding our needle thread with our left hand, and then using the hand wheel, we turn it in the direction of the arrow, one complete cycle, so the needle should come down into the work and then up, and then when you pull on the needle thread, it should bring up the bobbin thread for you. And you can see that that's up on the top now. Now you need to bring up the bobbin thread the first time you thread up the machine, but you won't need to do that after you commence sewing.